Hello everyone and welcome to SuttonsDaze. Today, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we are going to make some beef stew. Now, for the most part, I'm an ingredient canner. Okay, I say this all the time. In my mind, it's just as easy for me to grab a jar of carrots, a jar of potatoes, a jar of beef, and make myself up a pot of beef stew really quick. But I've got some stuff coming up in a few months, and so I want some easy, quick meals for Phil. Some easy, quick meals that I can make for Phil or that he is willing to make for himself. So I am doing beef stew today, and we're going to be doing it in quart jars. I went to Save a Lot because they had a sale on beef bottom round roast. Okay, and so this big beauty right here. Now I'm going to have to carve off some of that fat, but this is just over 14 pounds. So at $3.99 a pound, it came up to $56. And I had a nice conversation with the butcher, and it was a lot of fun. And so I am going to start doing this up. Now, what I am doing is the recipe for the beef stew out of this book, out of that book right there. Okay, I'll put a link for that book down below. Tons of good recipes in here. There is no tested safe recipe that I have been able to find. I'm telling you, I went through every canning book that I have where you put all the raw ingredients in there in a jar and then just can it. Or if you cook the beef and put all the raw ingredients in. There's no tested approved recipe. Thank you. I reached out to a friend of mine and she said, no, this is an awesome recipe. She actually won a blue ribbon for it at her county fair a few years ago. And it holds up really well. And she showed me a jar that was a couple years old. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I am going with this particular recipe for beef stew. Now, I am doing a much larger batch than the recipe that's in here. So go grab your pen and paper because this is a copyrighted recipe, okay? And I cannot put it down below. So you need to kind of do your due, and I will tell you the ingredients, and then we will go through the process. Okay, and I am just cutting right clear through this. Let's go. Come on, go this way, Lise. Like you've never cut open meat before. My goodness. Okay, and this is just a beautiful. Now, beef bottom round roast. Okay, it's a tougher meat, but by the time you're done with this, you will never know it. So quite honestly, buy the cheapest cut of meat that you can find, because when you are done, you'll never know. You'll absolutely never know. To start off here, I am going to cut these up into small pieces, put them on the cookie sheet, and then bake them in the oven until they're, done. Not overdone, not well done, just cooked. The additional flavor that you get from this is amazing. If you want, because you're doing a smaller amount, you can absolutely cook this up in a pan, just sear it all. That works really well. The flavor is amazing. But me trying to cut all of this up, 14 pounds, and sear it, that's a lot of work. So anyway, I'm not going to. But I am going to cut this up and put it on the cookie sheet and then bake it in the oven. I've got the oven set at 400 degrees. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. So it will cook nicely and fairly quickly. Okay, but I am going to cut off that fat on the back. Yes, if you really want to, you can render that down. Okay, but I'm going to cut that down because I don't need all that. But I'm not going to worry about this stuff. Not going to worry about it. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to cut this into more manageable pieces, and then I will dice it up. To me, it's easier to cut it raw than cooked, and it takes longer to cook it when it's a big piece like this too. A nice sharp knife is very helpful. Yes, it is. So sharpen your knives before you get started, okay? Pardon me. So I've got some stuff happening at the end of the year, or not at the end of summer, and that's why I'm trying to get some of this stuff done ahead of time. Not a big deal. I'll tell you guys more about it later this week. Yes, I will. But I'm trying to set Phil up for success, okay, when I'm not cooking meals, because there will be a short time there where I'm not cooking meals. Little pieces, but beef stew, you guys, bite-sized pieces, are good. So cut it to your preference. definitely. There we go. And then just lay them out flat on the baking sheet to go into the oven. And I was cutting celery earlier, so every now and then you'll see a little piece of celery leaf. Yes, for mine, I diced 10 pounds of potatoes and 5 pounds of carrots. And I've got 6 cups of celery cut up here. I have to tell you, out of all of them, my favorite is the celery. It's so easy. It is so easy. Sometimes the prep work is more work than the canning, you know? Which is another reason why I like the ingredient canning. Okay, so I'm going to dice this all up and we'll be back. This cookie sheet has half of the roast on it. And so that's 7 pounds roughly of meat after I trimmed off a lot of the fat. Now, just because I'm me, I'm going to put some pepper and some salt, not a lot of salt, mostly pepper, on it before I put it in the oven, okay? And that'll just add to the yummy flavor because I'm all about the flavor. Yes, okay. So we've got that. Now I want to put this in the oven and start working on the second half. Time to cut the second half. Yes, it is. But now I don't have the book underneath my pan, so I can actually tell you guys. So remember I told you, go grab your, oh, come on. Go grab your pens and papers. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. If you have the book, it's on page 407. Okay, and I just found out they came up with a new copy. They came out with a new version of the book. Don't go buy it. You don't need to go buy it. But because the only thing they changed is that there are white peaches now. What? Yeah. There are white peaches now that are much lower in acidity. So any peach recipe would be a little bit different. So if that's your favorite peach recipe, you might want to go check it out. But and because they changed the measurements on the pectin, where they used to say 1 box, apparently they don't package it like that all the time. Anyway, so what you need. Now, the first thing is 1 tablespoon of vegetable. Okay, I'm going to go through the measurements that they have. 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Now, that is 100% optional. Okay, so you don't have to have it. Like in this case, I am not using any oil, but if you're searing it in a pan, you might want to use some oil. Totally up to you. Totally up to you. So they're saying 4 to 5 pounds of stewing beef cut into 1.5-inch cubes. Well, on my best day, I'm not good at cutting uniform 1.5-inch cubes. So, you know, you do you, but 4 to 5 pounds of stewing meat. Now, truth be told, this was $3.99 a pound, okay? Stew meat is $4.99 a pound where I'm at right now. So, stew meat is not all it's cracked up to be. No. So, you know, any kind of beef that you can cut up like this is good because it all comes out beautiful in the end, okay? So, 4 to 5 pounds of stewing beef. Then, 12 cups of peeled cubed potatoes. So, that's pretty easy to do. Just grab your big measuring cup and measure them out as you're going along, if that's what you want to do, okay? And the next one, and yes, any potato, and check this out, okay, big discussion in the Facebook group this week, because you don't have to blanch the potatoes or the carrots. If you are canning just potatoes or just carrots, blanch them, okay? If you are making stew, you don't have to, because it's being canned for the meat time, so it's not necessary. Okay, so 12 cups of cubed peeled potatoes. Yes, you have to peel your potatoes. Stop arguing with me. Okay, and then the next one is 8 cups of sliced peeled carrots. Yes, you have to peel your carrots, okay? I know. Again, I know. I get it. Okay. The next one is 3 cups of chopped celery. Yep, pretty easy. So remember, what you're seeing me do here is like double, triple the recipe, okay? And then 3 cups of chopped onions. Now, if you're like me and you never keep onions in the house, but you are one of my wonderful Thrive Life customers, or you have dehydrated onions someplace, okay, you can do an equivalent. Don't do the same measurement. A 1/4 cup of freeze-dried, what do they call them? Freeze-dried chopped onions from Thrive. A 1/4 cup of that is the equivalent of 1 cup of fresh onions. 1/4 cup to 1 cup fresh, okay? So you have to figure out your equivalent there, otherwise you'll be floating in onions. Now, I will say that the Thrive onions that I have, which I'm going to use because I don't have fresh onions, is they tend to, I don't know, float off in their own, you know? So don't be off put by that, because it's still good and it's still great flavor. It's amazing. Yes, it is. Okay. Ooh, look at it. I mean, the marbling in this. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Okay, so the next in the recipe, you ready, is for 4.5 teaspoons of salt. 4.5 teaspoons of salt. So that is not a requirement. Okay, so if you're watching your salt, cut that back to your preference or don't put it in. Your call. Okay, salt and pepper and all that kind of stuff, that's not part of the preservation process. So don't freak out about it. But if you like it and you want to put it in there, go right ahead. I'm going to put it in this because it's just a little bit for a big pot. Okay. Come on, you got to come off there. And remember, any cut, you guys, any cut, you don't have to use the same exact thing. Go out on the wild side. Be like Lisa. Any cut of beef, when you're canning it, will come out amazing. It'll come out like the best, most tender, delicious roast you've ever had. Okay, I'm going to wrestle with this one. There, okay. Okay, so almost done here. The next one is 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. And then the next one is a 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Okay, give me a break. 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Okay. And that is the recipe for a normal sized pot, unlike what I'm doing. Okay. I got a deal on a 14-pound roast, so I'm going to make more. It'll end up being 2 canner loads. So what happens when I've got all of this together, okay, and I'll show you the process, because the process is fine. We've got all this together, and I can only fill the number of quarts that will fill a canner. What do? I leave the rest of it in a pot off the heat, and it'll sit there covered until I'm done processing the first batch. And then when that process is done and I've pulled them out, I will start batch number 2. That is how I do it. No harm, no foul. It's all good. Okay. I don't know why, but this side went much easier. Yes, it did. Okay. Get that out of there. Okay. So we are going to get this finished up and on the in the oven. And then when those are all done browning up, I will be back and we will start making our stew to can. This is not a quick process. This is not ugly chicken fast. There's a reason I love my ugly chicken. This takes, this will take a chunk out of your day. But the end result is gonna be so worth it. Yes, it is. Let go of that meat. There we go. Okay, so that is my second tray. I'm gonna go wash my hands. This is the first pan of meat. Okay, so it's cooked. It's not dead. I don't need dead meat. You know what I mean. I don't like it shoe leather. Phil likes it like shoe leather. I don't. But this is going to be basically boiled anyway. So this was just to brown it up to get that nice extra flavor. Searing it Gives you a really great flavor, but with this quantity of meat, it was not something that I was interested in pursuing. So, okay, so the directions, dun, 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 okay, is to cook this all up and then transfer it to a stainless steel saucepan and add the vegetables and stuff, okay? So I'm going to do this in 2 rounds because my pot's just not big enough. So we're going to first put this meat in there. Now I've got the pot on. There we are. I've got the pot on, the flame going, and now we're going to, pardon me, get all this really hot, lovely meat in there. And oh, this is so good. Look at that. Okay. And I'm going to make an amazing mess because I thought it would be easier with this, but I think it's going to be easier with the slotted spoon. So we're going to use the slotted spoon. Okay. So this is half the meat. This is 7 pounds, which is why I gave you the ingredient list for the recipe that they have. Okay. So we're going to get that all in there. Now, I was really tempted to use the liquid that came out of the meat. That's all this stuff here. Really tempted to put that in with the water. But do you see how it's got, you know, little floaties and stuff in there? I really want this to be appetizing. I want it to look good. That stuff has amazing flavor. It's going to be great for a gravy. It is going nowhere, okay? But it's not going into my jars. So it'll just be on the side. Okay. But now I have an excuse to make some hot beef. Thank you. And I've got those jars of roast that I canned up. So now, with our cooler temperatures, because, you know, Mother Nature's doing her thing and it's cold and damp. So, now I have an excuse to do hot beef with mashed potatoes and gravy. Yes. I'm going to make some amazing gravy with this liquid. It's going to be so good. Okay. Okay, let me get that all in there. We'll be back. Yes, I just realized that the camera was pointed up. This is the liquid, and so you see all there's floaties. There's meat floaties in there. So I'm going to toss this into a jar, put it in the fridge, and we're going to have awesome, awesome gravy to go with hot beef sandwiches later this week. I had to show you. My friend gave me 2 of these amazing and gorgeous German canning jars. I don't know if she knew they were German or not, so I got to get back to her on that. But all of that juice fit right into that jar. That's just awesome. So now I have the second jar pulled aside so that I can put the juice from the next one in there. Is that just, I mean, it's just the cutest darn jar you ever saw. Okay. The meat is in the pot. Here, let me show you. The meat's in the pot, okay? And next, I'm going to put my celery in. So I'm going to put half of what I've got chopped up here in there. So good. I love celery. Okay. Celery smells like spring. Yes, it does. Okay, and then I've got my carrots. And I've had them soaking in water, which is why I'm using a slotted spoon. So I'm going to put half of my carrots in there. So the whole thing about, you know, if you're canning just carrots or just potatoes, you have to blanch them. This kind of takes care of that process, okay? Because we're not going to cook this until it's done. We're just bringing it up to a boil and then putting it into jars. Now, I know I've seen the same videos that you have, okay? Where they put the raw stuff right in the jar. I'm just telling you, this is the approved method. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're stirring this up also because you want to make sure it gets all mixed up. Okay, next, my friends, comes the taters. Okay, let's get this bad boy over here. And again, these are all cut up already. And so I'm just going to scoop out about half of them and put them in. And I asked Phil, I said, do you like it when your beef stew is a little meatier or just like equal? He's like, I like beef stew. I don't care. Okay, fine. Because it's probably going to have more meat than the 4 to 5 pounds, you know, but that's okay. That is good. And this marries the flavors together too. Did I get half? Yeah. Okay. So this marries the flavors together while it's in the pot, which is a good thing. Yes, it is. Okay, and like I said, I'm using my Thrive Life onions. Thrive Life. So these are the chopped onions, right? They're like White Castle. And I love them. They are so good. So I'm going to put in a good handful of those, okay? And they will get spread out through the jars. Smells so good. Okay. And then next, we're going to add a little bit of thyme, because believe it or not, thyme is not always on our side. Okay, had to do it. Sorry. So remember, that was a pretty small amount. What was that? For the whole pot, it is 1 teaspoon of thyme. So it's not very much, okay? So don't go hog wild on your thyme. Okay, again, give it a good stir. And now we're going to bring it up to a boil. The water was already hot, but you know, when you add the other ingredients, it takes it back down again. And I'm going to get my jars ready for filling. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Got the boil on. Okay, so it boiled. It's boiled. I turned off the heat, okay? And now I'm going to fill my jars. And then we're going to play a little round robin. So I'm stirring it up, scooping from the bottom, okay? And we are going to fill the jars. Oh, it's going to be so good. It smells so good in here, you guys, okay? So I'm filling it pretty much mostly with the vegetables and the meat, and then topping it off with the liquid from the pot. Oh my gosh. This smells so good. Okay, let me bring you down closer. Smells so good. Will you look at that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. So the Thrive onions kind of float a little bit. If you're using fresh onions, they won't float. They won't float. No, they won't. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just realized I have to go turn off the oven. Okay. There we go. Oh, a little bit too much solid, but that's okay. That's fixable. Look at that. Oh, it just smells simply amazing. Simply amazing. Okay. Come on, hold on. There we go. And so we're going to be picking a few pieces out here. Oh, maybe not. They fell down. Okay. Because you want it to an inch, speak, Lisa, an inch headspace. Okay, look at that. An inch headspace. And, oh, yes. Do you see how beautiful those are? And I can tell you from picking them up, those are not mushy vegetables, my friends. No, they're not. Okay, now we're going to add more liquid. Oh my goodness. Okay, so as soon as I'm done filling these jars, how many quarts do you get into a canner? I can't remember. Okay, 7. I think it's 7. So when I get these all filled, I'm going to move my stock pot. Okay, that's too many. I'm going to have to pull some out. I'm going to move my stock pot over and get my canner on here and heating up while I wipe the rims and do all that fun stuff. So, oh, this is just simply stunning. Does anybody get this excited about filling canning jars? Is it just me? Let me know down below in the comment section, okay? And you see there's a nice combination of the meat and the vegetables. So good. Yes. So don't be afraid to add a little more meat if you want, okay? And I do not have, I'm assuming that what they meant this recipe to be was 1 canner load. But, you know me, if there's a way to work it up a little bit, I'm going to do it. Okay. And your inch headspace is very important. So I will be going back and fixing any of these that are a little heavy on the headspace, because then if your headspace is not correct, it can siphon. And we don't want to lose 1 drop of this deliciousness. Not a single drop, okay? This is so good. I am so easy to amuse. Seriously. Okay, I'll be back. I had to go grab a fork. Okay, because I need to bring that headspace down. There we go. Okay, so the vegetables are tender enough. That down? Yes. Tender enough so that you can stab them, but they're not mushy. Okay, so we're down to 1 inch headspace. Oh my gosh. And if you were like to eat this right now, you wouldn't like it, okay? I mean, you might, but probably not, because the meat has not been cooked enough, so it's not going to be super tender like it will be after you can it, or after it sits in a slow cooker or on the stove all day long, right? Okay, so because we're using meat and all that stuff, I always use vinegar, so I'm going to wipe my rims, make sure that those are all nice and cleaned before we put the lids on. Did I already do that one? Don't know. It doesn't hurt to do it twice, okay? And now we are going to do our lids. You can use wide mouth or small mouth, okay? Your choice. I am using small mouth because that's what I grabbed. And as always, guys, we are using Forjars canning lids. You know I am totally in love with these lids. They are my absolute favorite go-to now. I adore them. And so now we just take those and put them on top. And you can see they have the button. Okay, I really like the button. It's a visual thing. Takes a little bit of the guesswork out. Tiny bit, teeny tiny bit, okay? And I have had such great success with these lids. They're absolutely phenomenal. If you are interested in purchasing Forjars canning lids and stocking up before things are crazy, definitely, I highly recommend, the way the world's going today, I recommend getting a couple of years worth. Yes, I do, but you know, that's me. I also have 20 jars of peanut butter that I had to go through for the Jif recall. So I stock up on stuff. That's what I do. That's what we do. That's what we're about. We are about being prepared for the unknown, for the unexpected emergencies, for daily life. And so that's what we do here. And so I highly recommend stocking up on a few hundred canning lids. The price point is spot on. The quality is bar none. So I hope that you do that. Let me get my rings. In the background, I have switched out the pots, and I have my canner with my hot water in it, okay, because the contents of this jar is hot. So we're going to put these on finger tight, and then we're going to put them into the jar. Hot jars, hot water, no thermal shock. It's a beautiful thing, okay? So finger tight is to twist it on until it doesn't twist on anymore. Use these 2 fingers. It's great. Okay. Don't overthink it. And what do we say? Does it matter? Does it matter if the rings are not pretty? Does it matter? Because, you know, that one's far from pretty. No, it doesn't matter. It is not an engagement ring. It is a tool. Okay? So we're going to do this. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I miscalculated. I've got 7 jars. Okay. I could actually fit one more in there. Oh. Okay. I'm going to fill another jar real quick. I also just realized that I did not show you guys that I debubbled. I did. I debubbled, okay? So you just go in there. You just push stuff around, okay? Get any air bubbles that might be trapped out of there, and then you are good to go. Okay, so then we wipe the rim with the vinegar, and then we put on a lid. I can't believe I forgot to show you the debubbling. Okay, see? Poof, poof, okay? And now I'm going to put that last jar in there. And I'm going to bring you over. Okay. So we've got all the jars in the canner. We're now going to put the lid on and bring it up until it vents a steady stream of steam. I'll show you what that looks like, just like I always do. It is a cloudy and yucky day today. So me seeing a steady stream of steam is highly unlikely. And you on the camera, very unlikely, okay? But one, I can hear it. Two, I can see it when I put a canning lid up against it. So now I start my timer for 10 minutes. My timer went off, and so now I'm going to put on my weighted regulator, otherwise known as the jiggler, okay? If you don't have this, then you most likely have this if you're using a Presto. If you're using this, then you have to go by the gauge. So that for my area is 11 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes. With the weighted regulator, it is 10 pounds of pressure, which this will tell you, not that, okay? 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes. So we are going to have these rocking here shortly. That will start moving. I'll adjust my temperature to make sure that it's doing a slow hula dance. And then we'll start our timer for 90 minutes. We'll see you when it comes out. You know the drill. So we let this completely depressurize on its own. We've let it sit for a few minutes. I'm going to tilt the lid. Always tilt it away from you. Okay. We're going to let that cool off a little slow, right? And we're going to pull the lid off. Whoop, whoop. Okay. I'm excited. How about you guys? I'm excited. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Is that, I mean, that is just beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, that's going to make some amazing dinners. Yes, it is. Another beautiful one. Ha, 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 ha. Very happy. Okay. This is so fantastic. Beef stew for days and days and days and days. And if it's a comfort meal for you, like it is for Phil, you are going to be so very, very happy. Let me bring you down. This is absolutely fantastic. That is like the prettiest thing in a jar I've seen in a long time. Okay, well, since the last time I can. But this is so nice. Look at how beautiful that is in the jar. So I used golden potatoes, so I don't believe there's going to be, you know, a starch issue there. The carrots, the beef, the celery, the onions. It smells amazing in this house. They look fantastic. And now we're just going to sit here and let them meditate until tomorrow, where we'll know whether or not they all sealed. But I feel great success happening here. And in case you wanted to know, all of them are bubbling. Okay. So we again did beef stew from, I'll get this book. The link is down below. It's from the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving 400 Delicious and Creative Recipes for Today. I told you the ingredients for a regular batch of it. I'm doing like a master huge batch of it. I figure by the time I'm done, let's see, 7, I'll probably have close to 20 jars of it up on the shelf, which I'm super happy about. These are going to be quick, easy meals for Phil. So what do you do? Because some people like a gravy with their beef stew, right? This is so simple, you guys. So simple. You take the jar, you empty it into a pan, you add a little bit of flour, and you whisk it up and while you're heating it up, and that broth creates the most amazing gravy for your beef stew. You will fall in love with this. It's like the best thing in the world, okay? So I hope that you give this a try. If you find beef on sale, does not matter what kind it is all going to be tender and delicious once it goes through this canning process. Remember, it's 75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts. Does it overcook the potatoes and the carrots? No, amazingly enough, it does not. That's why the recipe is done the way that it is, where you're putting it into the pot. It kind of blanches it while you're heating everything up. Put it into the canner and everything is fantastic. You're not going to have crunchy, obviously, but it's going to be the perfect texture. Trust me on this one, okay? So here's our beef stew using Forjars canning lids. Remember, stock up now. Stock up for a couple years, you guys. Seriously. This is not ending soon. This chaos that we're feeling is not going away soon. So make yourself some beef stew to help you feel a little bit better about it. Stock up on some Forjars canning lids to make sure that you can continue doing things like this. When you find a sale, put it up, stack it to the rafters, my friends. Okay, remember there's a code down below for 10% off your purchase. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, please be safe.